And to complete the most significant news for this day, why news continues. Here are the top stories. The decision on the gruesome Maguindanao massacre is expected to be out soon after 9 long years. This after the primary suspect in the crime, former Datu Unsay Mayor Andal Ampatuan Jr., submitted a formal offer of evidence in court in early November. His submission leaves Quezon City Regional Trial Court Branch 221 to soon release a verdict. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara says the decision is likely to be out early next year. However, QCRTC Judge Jocelyn Solis Reyes is yet to set a date for promulgation. With the verdict to be out soon, families of the victims expect nothing but justice for their lost loved ones. 4 of the victims were members of the UNTV news team based in General Santos City.
May pag-asa po kami na siya lang ang makakatulong sa kasong ito na hindi na magtagal kasi hindi natin alam ang buhay. 58 na po ako. Hindi ko alam kung kinabukasan ba ako'y mawawala. Sino pa ang maglalaban? Sino pa ang isasama para magsigaw ng katarungan?
Habang buhay pa ako ang makikipaglaban para makamta namin yung hustisya kasi gaano kahirap ang mawala ng ama. Tapos makikita mo yung anak na lumalaki.
Meanwhile, Malacanang assures that the rule of law will prevail and justice will be served to the relatives of all the victims.
The DOJ is the one responsible for prosecuting the case, and so it is doing its job, its level best, to speed up the prosecution of the case.
Meanwhile, Malacanang believes that the Congress will approve the proposed 2019 national budget before the end of the year. This despite the Senate statement that due to time constraints, it might only be able to pass the budget proposal on third and final reading by December 14, the last day of the sessions before Congress goes on a holiday break. If the 2019 budget proposal will not be approved by December, the Senate says the government will possibly have to work on a reenacted budget until its ratification on January 2019. But the palace says Congress will have to do its job as President Rodrigo Duterte is eyeing to sign the budget proposal on the 3rd week of December.
The House knows that this is the budget proposal of the palace, and so they will have to do their job. If there are questions on the budget, they will raise them and we will respond to them.
Water consumers are likely to suffer another rate increase due to the construction of the Kaliwa Dam project in Infanta, Quezon. The Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System explains that the Philippines is set to enter into a loan project with China to fund the project worth over 12 billion pesos. The loan will be shouldered by water concessionaires Maynilad and Manila Water, which will eventually be collected from their respective clients.
Pero ito naman will be spread over 20 years, no? So ito siguro baka wala pag 10 pesos a month ang equivalent niyan sa household over the next 5 years. So hindi masyado namang apektado yan yung rate.
The MWSS stresses that the construction of the Kaliwa Dam is highly necessary because Angat Dam can no longer suffice the needed supply of the growing population of consumers in Metro Manila. The dam is expected to be erected in 5 years' time, and once it is done, up to 600 million liters of water a day will be supplied in Metro Manila. In other news, the local government of El Nido, Palawan admits it is encountering problems in the construction of its sewage and solid waste treatment facility to promote responsible disposal of wastewaters among residents and business owners. According to El Nido Mayor Nieves Rosento, the local government started the 240 million peso project in 2017 and was targeted to be completed by mid-2019. However, its construction was delayed due to various problems. Based on the plan, households and business establishments will connect to a main pipeline that is linked to cluster collector tanks in different areas. Their wastewaters will flow to these tanks towards the sewage and solid waste facility for treatment. A visit to the project site shows pipelines that are yet to be installed and land yet to be leveled. Stakeholders have also been questioning the progress of the project amid ongoing rehabilitation in El Nido. Mayor Rosento says they are set to meet with the project's contractor on Monday to address construction delays.
Sa totoo lang po, sobrang bagal po talaga ng contractor na yan. Kaso hindi po kami ang pwedeng mag-terminate kasi nga it was bid out through the province kasi through interlocal agreement. Kung hindi pa po ako ang mayor.
Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council Secretary General Falcone Millar has been fired by President Rodrigo Duterte due to corruption allegations. Malacanang first made the announcement and was later confirmed by the President in his speech during the inauguration of the Cavite Gateway Terminal. The President, however, did not provide any details about the corruption allegations hurled against Millar. Millar was a member of Task Force Bangon Marawi tasked to lead the rehabilitation of Marawi City. And the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee has cited in contempt former PDEA Director Ismael Fajardo and former Police Colonel Edgardo Acierto for failing to attend the probe on the alleged smuggling of Shabu worth 11 billion pesos. The Senate panel resumed its inquiry today, which was attended by former Customs Intelligence Officer Jimmy Guban, who is now under the Witness Protection Program or WPP. Guban claimed that Fajardo and Acierto were involved in the shipment of Shabu loaded inside the controversial magnetic lifters that slipped by the Bureau of Customs this year. Apart from Fajardo and Acierto, the Senate panel also cited in contempt Marina Signapan, the owner of MYD Trading, and another respondent named Emily Lakingan for also failing to appear before the probe. If the four fail to show up again at the next hearing on December 4, the Senate will have no choice but to order for their arrest.
Naresto ko dahil they're critical. If you notice na sinabihan ko yung PDEA, bakit hindi niya pinafile ng kaso? Because this is a new development na malinaw na malinaw. At sabi, wala na yung asawa niya. Yung pala, siya pa nag-uutos na maibalik yung epekto sa yung drugs sa ibang bansa.
And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Amid works to extinguish raging wildfires, residents in California are facing a wet weather this week. But authorities say the rainstorm serves as a double-edged sword. Let's find out why from Kat Carriedo.
Northern California's first significant rainstorm on Wednesday may help contain the massive fires which have devastated the area. But the rain has also added woes to the ongoing rescue work, according to authorities.
Recovery effort more difficult because it's going to get really muddy and sloppy up there.
As the wet weather is expected to last for several days, local authorities have warned people of the risks of possible flash flooding and mudslides triggered by the rain.
It's always a concern in areas that have burned because you're losing the vegetation that holds all that soil together and really grips it. So now that the fire's gone through, it makes it a little more dynamic. It's a concern of ours for sure, and I think that we're taking precautions to remedy it. We're under flash flood warnings right now, and we've sent those alerts out to the folks. And what that means is the amount of rainfall, since we're on the top of a ridge, the amount of rainfall, it's got to go somewhere. So there's potential for flooding down in those lower areas.
The work of searching for the missing victims is still ongoing despite the rain. As the fire has been preliminarily brought under control, the local government on Wednesday reopened the road leading to the worst-hit town of Paradise. Some residents were seen returning to check on their houses and troll through the ruins. The fire department had previously anticipated the fire would be totally extinguished by November 30. With the aid of the rain, they believe this work could be expected to finish earlier. Kat Carriedo, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
British Prime Minister Theresa May arrived in Brussels on Wednesday to meet the European Union's chief executive and discuss a blueprint for Britain's future ties, hoping to secure commitments that will appease rebels at home opposed to a Brexit draft treaty. With just over 4 months before Britain leaves the EU bloc, May's meeting with European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker aims to try to finalize an outline of future relations before a summit of EU leaders on Sunday. Outstanding issues include a Spanish threat to block the so-called political declaration over Gibraltar, as well as problems from other states on fishing rights and future trade ties. An Australian drug mule who was among the so-called Bali 9 drug smuggling ring has been taken to an airport after she was released from an Indonesian prison. Meanwhile, health officials from the United States and Canada warn against eating and including romaine lettuce in menus ahead of the Americans' Thanksgiving Day celebration. This report explains why.
In Indonesia, Australian heroin courier Rheena Lawrence was released from an Indonesian prison on Wednesday, the first of the so-called Bali 9 drug smuggling ring to gain freedom after the execution of the two ringleaders' strained ties between the countries. Lawrence, 41, left Bali's Bangli prison through a doorway. A large media scrum surrounded Lawrence as she was ushered into a black SUV. A police convoy escorted the vehicle as it headed to Denpasar Airport, where Lawrence was to be held in a temporary detention center while waiting for an overnight flight to Sydney. She will not be allowed to return to Indonesia, according to Marioto Sumadi, the chief of Bali's Justice Office. In UAE, international police body Interpol elected Kim Jong-yang of South Korea as president for a 2-year term on Wednesday, beating a Russian national whose candidacy raised concerns in Europe and the United States about the risk of Kremlin interference. Interpol's 194 member states meeting in Dubai for their annual Congress elected Kim to succeed China's Meng Hongwei, who disappeared in September and later resigned after Chinese authorities said he was being investigated for suspected bribery. Speaking at the closing ceremony of Interpol's annual Congress in Dubai, Kim said he was honored to be chosen to lead a versatile and resilient organization. And in the U.S., all forms of romaine, including whole heads, hearts, bags, mixes, and Caesar salad. Officials were uncertain of the source. In the United States, the CDC said the outbreak affected 32 people in 11 states between October 8 and 31. No deaths have been reported, it said. Kat Numaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much. Kath Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Tennis star Venus Williams settles a lawsuit over a fatal Florida car crash that happened in June 2017. Meanwhile, strikers Neymar and Kylian Mbappe caused concern for the PSG ahead of their crucial Champions League match against Liverpool after the two withdrew from subsequent friendlies on Tuesday. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Brazil striker Neymar limped out of their 1-0 friendly win over Cameroon on Tuesday, but later calmed fears his injury might be serious, with a message confirming the problem was not something he was unduly concerned about. The Paris Saint-Germain player was substituted after tweaking his groin as he shot at goal with 7 minutes gone in the international match at Milton Keynes in England. Team doctor Rodrigo Lasmar told reporters that while a scan was needed to confirm the exact diagnosis, he did not think the injury to Neymar's adductor muscle would keep him out long, and Neymar confirmed that early diagnosis. Neymar's injury was not the only concern for PSG on Tuesday, with his club strike partner Kylian Mbappe also withdrawn before halftime in France's 1-0 friendly win against Uruguay. The forward fell awkwardly on his right shoulder after a challenge from Uruguay goalkeeper Marin Campana. PSG have a crucial Champions League match against Liverpool in Paris next Tuesday. They are currently third in the group, a point behind Liverpool and Group C leaders Napoli. Former Chelsea striker Didier Drogba announced his retirement on Wednesday, calling time on a 20-year career in which the bullish center forward won 4 Premier League titles and the 2012 Champions League. Ivorian Drogba, who had been playing in the United States for Phoenix Rising, had 2 spells at Chelsea, scoring 164 goals in 381 games, having spearheaded the West London club's revival under owner Roman Abramovich. Drogba, 40, began his career at French side Le Mans in 1998 but did not play top-tier football until he was 23 when he was signed by Guingamp in 2002. Tennis star Venus Williams has settled a wrongful death suit related to a fatal traffic accident she was involved in near her Florida residence in June 2017, according to court records. The terms of the agreement between Williams and the estate of Jerome Barson, 78, who died in the crash, were not disclosed in the court documents. The lawsuit, which was filed in Palm Beach County Circuit Court, was settled on November 15. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue.
A colorblind man in the U.S. saw a different world after receiving a pair of specialized glasses which allowed him to see in full color for the very first time. Jeff Dishman, a deputy at the Humboldt County Correctional Facility in California, received a pair of Enchroma glasses on November 14 from his longtime colleague Samantha Fries. Dishman was visibly emotional as he put on the specialized glasses over his existing spectacles.
I can't believe this place, this whole place just lit up. I mean, the whole world just lit up.
Fries, who was seen wiping tears away, pointed to the balloons and described various colors to Dishman, who could experience what each looked like. The glasses are known to help most colorblind people see colors differently. And those are the reasons behind the news, November 22nd, 2018. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.